is Julie, and you can find me on Instagram as Sweet Sparrow Knits and Sweet Sparrow Gardens, and you can find my shop, my blog, and more over at sweet-sparrow.com. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you are doing well. Is it starting to feel like autumn where you are? It really is here. It was 48 degrees Fahrenheit when I woke up this morning, which was lovely. I got to put on a sweater and have some wonderful hot coffee. It was so nice. Things are continuing in their usual calm way here. If you are a new viewer, I live in New York State. I live just across the Delaware River from Pennsylvania in a very small town of about 1,200 people, and the garden season is coming to an end. Well, at least the summer garden. We still have greens that I've planted for the fall. I'll be planting kale to enjoy through December or so, but the tomatoes are drawing to a close. The summer squash is completely done. We are starting to see our pumpkins turning orange, which is exciting, except for our white pumpkins, which are white. And it's become sweater weather. It's become knitwear weather in general. My wonderful boyfriend John has been wearing the sweater that I knit for him last year, and his hand knit wool hat, which I need to knit him another one so that he always has one clean in case one needs washing. I wore hand knit socks for the first time this season the other day, which was very exciting. It feels good. I'm ready. The summer has been wonderful, but I am definitely ready for that slower pace that fall and winter bring. You may have noticed that I am wearing a finished object, so let's talk finished objects first. This is my Maja top. This is by Hello Gabriella, and I love it. I knit this out of Sweet Sparrow yarns and the Hummingbird base, which is 50% superwash merino, 50% silk, and this is in the rose gold colorway. I'm so happy with how this turned out. It fits me absolutely perfectly. I could not be happier with it. And I wanted to show this to you because I have pre-orders for my Hummingbird base in my shop, and those will be ending after this coming Tuesday, September 14th. So if you would like to knit your own Maja top, or a beautiful lacy shawl, or really any number of things with the Hummingbird base, head on over to the shop and place your pre-order, and those are currently being sent out about 3 weeks from order date. I am only offering pre-orders on my Hummingbird base at the moment, but you can always message me and ask for a custom order if you find the perfect project for Hummingbird at a time when I don't have it in the shop. I also have another finished object, excitingly enough. I have not one, but 2 completed socks. Heels are in, ends are woven in, these are ready to wear. So this is the Merry Kitschmas colorway by Nomadic Yarns, and I bought this on her yak base, and the Afterthought heel and the toe are both in Granui Co. I don't know the name of this colorway. It was from one of their advent calendars a few years ago. I just love these. They're so woodsy. I've been saving these so that I could show them to you on the podcast before I wear them. And now that I've shown them to you, they will be on my feet in the next few days. As for works in progress, I have 2, and you have not seen either of them before. First is the Arbusto sweater by Rosa Pomar. Oh, it's so cute. I'm knitting this out of Brooklyn Tweed Shelter in the postcard colorway. And it is a simple raglan pullover, but it is covered all over in these baubles. Oh, they're so sweet. I just love them. I am working my way through the raglan increases, and this is flying off the needles. It's just so pleasant to work with. I really love the feel of Brooklyn Tweed and the way that I tension my yarn, because I only put it between my ring finger and my middle finger and then up over my pointer finger. I find it very easy to knit with without any snagging or breaking of the yarn. It has been such a wonderful project to work on. I usually work on it in the mornings while I watch Call the Midwife. I'm working my way through Call the Midwife yet again, and I usually wake up between 5:30 and 6:30 in the morning, and then I have my morning quiet time. Oh, there's motorcycles going by. I hope that's not too loud. Yeah, so I have my morning quiet time, and lately that has been having a lovely cup of coffee and watching a few episodes of Call the Midwife and knitting on my Arbusto. And this is knit inside out, which is great because the only purling that you have to do, you've got the purling in this really beautiful raglan detailing. And then there's a few purl stitches in the baubles, but the rest of the time, you're just knitting. This is what you are actually seeing while you're knitting it. It's just the knit side, which is a lot of fun because then when you turn it, what will be right side out, it's very exciting to see all of these cute little baubles pop up. I think this is going to function sort of like a sweatshirt for me, in that I can put it over dresses and just throw it on over pretty much anything for an extra little layer of warmth, but with the added whimsy of the baubles and this really beautiful color. It's a gray base but with bits of red carded in, and that gives it an overall look of a sort of soft pink, which of course you know I love a gray pink. And I know this is going to go so well with my wardrobe, and I'm really looking forward to wearing it this winter. Hi, Bilbo. Bilbo is here to say hello. Okay, buddy. My second work in progress is this first sock of a pair, and this is the fur socks pattern by Melody of Bee Mandarines. She is Melody Hoffman, and oh, this texture is such a dream. I am knitting these out of Sweet Sparrow yarns, my house ran tweed base, in the colorway We Shall Walk in Velvet Shoes. I like pink, have you noticed? Here, let me show you this texture. It has this beautiful sort of tree texture motif with slip stitches. Oh, it's so pretty. This has also been going very quickly because it is just a simple 4-row repeat for the texture pattern, and 2 of those rows are just knit. So this is what I've been knitting in the evenings with John when we are watching something, because I don't really need to look at the pattern much. However, I did just turn the heel. So if you have been watching for any length of time, you'll know that I almost never do heel flaps and gussets. I do afterthought heels eventually, and I also tend to do short row heels, but this pattern was written with a heel flap and gusset, and I decided to go ahead and stick with that. And I'm so glad that I did. It looks really lovely. I'm not sure how well you'll really be able to see what's happening there, but I think it will fit beautifully, and I think because this is my first textured pair of socks in quite a while and the weather is starting to turn cool, I felt like I wanted to give these a lot of time and attention and take the time to really read the pattern as far as doing the heel flap and gusset, and treat these like an heirloom piece, which they're not going to make it long enough to be passed down to anyone, because I wear my socks a lot and then I mend them and then I wear through them again and then I mend them some more. But I really wanted to give these the time and attention and love that they deserve, so I'm glad that I did the heel flap and gusset. There are a few skeins of this yarn in the shop in case you'd like to be sock twins with me. Oh, and I also knit these cuff down, which is very rare for me. For some reason I'm very intimidated by the idea of a cuff down sock. I think because when I first started knitting socks, I was knitting them on magic loop, and I just always twisted that cast on. But now that I knit my socks on flexi flip needles, it is no big deal to knit cuff down socks, and I'm looking forward to knitting a lot more of them. I anticipate finishing the foot of this first sock in the next several days, and then I will cast on the second. And I can definitely see this being a pattern that I will repeat in the future because it's very beautiful, it feels very woodsy, but it doesn't take a ton of concentration. I do have an upcoming project which I have not yet cast on, and that is the Maja cardigan. The designer's name is escaping me, but I will put it on the screen. Emma from Bloom and Create is hosting a knit along for this pattern right now. Since this pattern was already in my queue, it just felt like such a good opportunity to join in with a community that was already knitting this pattern. And I will be knitting mine. I'll pop it on the screen for you so that you can see it. It's a very beautiful colorwork yoke cardigan with quite long colorwork motifs at the yoke and again at the waist. And I will be knitting mine in these very woodsy soft colors. This beautiful sort of gray toned blue, a deep mossy green, a sort of medium heather gray, and a light heather gray with a tiny hint of an oatmeal-y color to it. I haven't even swatched yet, but I'm so excited about it that I had to include it anyway. I have to get my book out from under Bilbo. He's laying on it, but I want to share it with you. Excuse me, Bilbo. Oof. He's difficult to move. As I mentioned in my last episode, I have been reading My Life in France by Julia Child with Alex Prudhomme. And this is a wonderful memoir from Julia Child's time when she first moved to France. And it is just wonderful. I read this every day with my lunch, and that is the only time that I read it because I want to keep it special and I want to savor it. I'm about halfway through the book. It is glorious. The point that I am at in the book, Julia has met up with two friends, Simone and Louisette, and started broaching the idea of writing a cookbook. And it's an exciting point because we all know how pivotal that book then became. Um, it's just a wonderful book. It's a very cozy read. Um, it's quite soothing, which is something I really appreciate in the middle of the day, to just take a few minutes with my lunch and enjoy reading something that is calming and centering. And if you have not read this, I highly recommend it. I also have an audiobook going at the moment, which is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I am reading Rebecca as part of Kim, who is Huga Canyon, part of her book club, which includes an exclusive sock pattern based on the book that we're reading. And I'm only a few hours into Rebecca at this point, but it's very gripping. The writing style is beautiful, and I know that Rebecca is a classic, and I just have not read it before now, but it's the kind of thing that I just don't want to stop listening to, and I already am forming some hypotheses about which characters I don't quite trust, and I don't want to say much more than that in case of spoilers, but I'm enjoying it very much. The narrator of the audiobook that I'm listening to is really wonderful. She doesn't overact, everything feels very believable, and it's really a pleasure to listen to while I'm working. Oh, I forgot to mention, I've been spinning. I do usually get the urge to spin right around this time of year. It feels like an activity for cold evenings and snowy days. I have been spinning what used to be a loop bump, which unfortunately got regged. So I put it in a bag for a while. I kind of couldn't really look at it. And then after a while, I decided that I love the colors. I can be happy with it as a barber pulling hand spun yarn because I love those too. Why not? So the parts of the bump that were still intact, I went ahead and split into these little nests of fiber. Oh, these colors are so gorgeous. And I split those up and I put them all in a bag, and now I can just reach in and grab one at random and add it onto what I'm spinning, which is definitely a better way to go than trying to do it as I was spinning, to stop and then unwind a bit and then spin that and then unwind a bit and do a bit of untangling, maybe remove some of the fiber that was a bit matted from dog drool. This is a much better method, and I'm very happy with how this yarn is coming along. As for what I am watching while I've been knitting away, there is a new season of What We Do in the Shadows, which is a very unscary vampire show. It's very funny. One of the creators is Jermaine Clement, who I know and love from Flight of the Conchords, and he was also Tamatoa in Moana, which is one of my favorite movies as a grown adult. It's just such a funny show, and What We Do in the Shadows is definitely not for children, but it is so well done. I laugh so hard every time that we watch it, and it just brings me so much happiness. I do not watch really scary movies or TV shows. I'm just too much of a chicken. So something on the goofy side is perfect for me. As I mentioned, I am also watching Call the Midwife again. sometimes you just really need the comfort of something that you've watched many times. And I also have been rewatching Star Trek The Next Generation, and I've been doing that while I wind mini skeins for the advent calendars. I dye all of my advent mini skeins in full 100-gram skeins and then divide them out into 10-gram mini skeins, which is quite a time-consuming process, even with the equipment that I have that helps make it a lot more efficient. And The Next Generation is something that I can have on where it's very dialogue driven, so I don't necessarily need to even look at the screen. I know what's going on, and it engages my mind enough that I'm not, thinking about a million other things while my hands are just working on dividing mini skeins. It's been very cozy. That's definitely one of my comfort shows. I've seen it so many times, although it's finally been long enough since I've rewatched the entire series that I don't immediately know what's going to happen at the beginning of every episode. So that's been lovely to have a little bit of a surprise, but not too much. Okay, let's have a little bit of shop talk. I want to remind you that the Celtic Myths and Fairy Magic Club, the next round of sign-ups closes on Tuesday the 14th. Well, it technically closes Wednesday. It's open through Tuesday the 14th of September, and that is a really fun club, particularly if you already have a love of Celtic legends and folklore. You'll definitely see some characters that you know, and then some new ones as well. And if you don't know much about Celtic mythology, but it's something that you think you would like to learn more about while also receiving some beautiful yarn, the club membership is a really great way to do that. And there are 6-month and 3-month installments available. So feel free to head on over to the website and join that if it's something that appeals to you. Can you hear Bilbo? He's snoring. He's snuggled up next to me, having a snooze. And last but certainly not least, I want to give you a little sneak preview of the Fall 2021 collection from Sweet Sparrow. So here it is. Here is my fall collection. It is a collection of 8 colorways, and I wanted this collection to invoke sort of a moody nostalgia. I guess it's my dark academia of collections, but of course still with plenty of softness because that's who I am, both as a person and as a dyer. So let's take a closer look. The first colorway is called Flannel Sheets, and this was inspired by an actual set of flannel sheets that we own, which is gray with white snowflakes on it, sort of Fair Isle looking snowflakes. And I like to pair that with our rose pink linen duvet cover and pillowcases, and I wanted to create that feeling of just coziness and comfort. So this has a cream base swirled with pale gray and a rose pink, and then speckled with little bits of black. Next we have Tender Heart, and this is a beautiful sort of raisin pink brown or brown pink. Then we have Gingerbread, which is sort of self-explanatory in its inspiration, and I'm really excited about this brown because it has these gorgeous golden undertones and then also some red undertones. I think it is going to be a very flattering color on any skin tone, and it just feels so right for autumn to me. Next we have On Softest Wings, which is a base that is swirls of undyed and very soft gray speckled with just teeny delicate speckles of a soft mushroomy brown. Then we have Warm Whispers. I love this colorway. I can't wait to knit something for myself out of this. It is just a barely there gray lavender pink. I wanted this to feel like those moments when you first wake up, but you're still a little bit in the dream, and that sort of mist is coming over that dream, and you can just see it. You can just see it. There's not much left, but you can just see it. So that is Warm Whispers. This is Still Waters. It is a gorgeous, deep teal with some navy undertones and some gray undertones. Here is This Is Just to Say, which is a beautiful, dusty, gray-toned plum purple, which is named after one of my favorite poems by William Carlos Williams, of the same name. And then lastly we have Terracotta, which is a really beautiful orange. It has a little bit of brown undertone, a little bit of gray undertone, a little bit of pink undertone. It's just a very soft orange, and it feels really good to me for this time of year. Again, sort of like zinnia, this is in my line of oranges for people who don't necessarily like orange. It feels very autumnal and almost vintage. These colors will be debuting on Tuesday, September 21st at 4 p.m. Eastern Time over in the shop at sweet-sparrow.com. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. It was lovely to catch up with you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.